Welcome back to the fourth and final session on data migration demystified. This time, migration journey migrating to 3DEXPERIENCE. Today, we're going to look into our experience with migrating into 3DEXPERIENCE, and we're going to have a look at a reference project. Last but not least, I would like to give some heads up, some basic informations about what to look at technology-wise when you're trying to migrate into 3DX. So stay tuned and let's go. This slide gives you a brief overview of our, PROSTEP's long-term relationship and partnership with the Dassault System. So on the right side, you can find the Dassault System as one of our partners. And especially for them, we are a CAA 3DX V6 partner and community partner. Furthermore, we are a 3DX Innovia partner, CAA V5 adopter, and last but not least, which for me as a PO of OpenPDM Migrate is the most important thing, we are a consulting and system integration partner. Based on these partnerships, we can offer our products and of course our services around integration, but not only integration, especially migration is today's topic, so also migration topics all around the 3DEXPERIENCE platform. So we just heard that OpenPDM is a partner of the Dassault System, and here we see the OpenPDM ecosystem. The OpenPDM ecosystem in the middle are our core services, something like a mapping engine or an asynchronous background process engine. And due to our partnership with 3DEXPERIENCE, we can offer specific connectors to that framework, to that solution, to connect to the Dassault 3DEXPERIENCE or, for example, the Dassault Smart Team. In migration perspective, the Dassault Smart Team today is mostly used as a source system. The Dassault 3DEXPERIENCE, of course, mostly used as a target system when it comes to migration use cases or projects. You can also find other Dassault products here around the core services of OpenPDM, for example, Cameo or Exalead. These are both products from Dassault which are usually not used during migration. So when we are talking about migration, these two connectors are the most important ones that we are offering around the Dassault product portfolio. So once we take the OpenPDM ecosystem and try to provide an actual deployment model for it, then you could end up into a picture like that. So here on the left side, you have the legacy system with two possibilities how to export this one. For example, the legacy system can be exported directly from its native database, or it can be, if there is an OpenPDM Migrate connector for it, then we could also leverage the OpenPDM system connector to pull the corresponding information and files from the legacy system. Once this data is exported into our staging database inside OpenPDM Migrate, it can be enriched. For example, here in that use case, we don't have all the information in the legacy system. What is missing is the material information. And in that use case here, we are pulling that material information through the OpenPDM SAP connector from an SAP. So this is one example how this data can be enriched during the migration process. Then we are mapping the data from the source data model into the target data model, in this case 3DEXPERIENCE, of course, and during that mapping we can add additional information through, for example, CSV, Excel files, or any other kind of external format if required. Last but not least, we of course need to import the data into 3DEXPERIENCE, and there we have the possibility to use different APIs. In that case, we can use either the long time available Java API, we could also use the quite new REST API, and last but not least, we can also use XPDM. XPDM is an interface that is provided by 3DEXPERIENCE to import all kinds of data, but especially with XPDM, you can import also CAD data. So for all of these APIs, we are providing a connector, and based on the requirement in the project, we can either pick Java, REST, XPDM, or any kind of combination of that, because each of these APIs have its own feature set. And even if we don't meet the feature set, because maybe these or none of these APIs have exactly what you need in the project, which can occur when you're migrating into 3DEXPERIENCE, then it's very good to have a partner like PROSTEP, which can talk to the SO system what kind of approach we could pick to migrate data into 3DEXPERIENCE. So that's something that we encounter quite often in projects, and especially with the SO system, doing this kind of discussion very early, what objects need to be imported and which technology to use is an important step in a migration project. So this is a reference project, an ITA reference project, so I cannot name the customer, unfortunately, but this is a project that we did in 2023. So this is a 3DEXPERIENCE migration project for a company that acquired multiple other organizations in the past. And this company decided to go full into 3DEXPERIENCE and to migrate all the other PLM or TDM systems that came into the company due to the acquisitions into the 3DEXPERIENCE architecture. So we're talking about Autodesk Vault, Inventor, Smart Team, and ARAS in that case. Furthermore, that customer also had an old Matrix 1 system around, which also had to be migrated into 3DEXPERIENCE. So for all of these source systems, we from PROSTEP have the corresponding connectors. So we didn't need to create anything new or get data directly from the databases. We could leverage the power of OpenPDM to get all that data. So what we did for this customer is, of course, we created the whole migration concept, the strategy, and we executed the whole project for them. Furthermore, which is a little bit special because this customer also requested that in the future they will have additional acquisitions and they want simply to be more efficient with transformation within their company and executing these migrations. We also did a lot of explanation to the customer how to tackle these kind of migration projects so that they can plan and maybe also execute these migration projects by themselves. We also did all the rehearsals inside the project and executed the productive migration as well. So key figures: around 500,000 Inventor CAD files, around 500,000 Smart Team objects, and around 150K ARAS objects. The execution time was around 7 months. So the implementation, executing 3 rehearsals, so I mean implementation of the toolkit, right? The migration pipeline, then also running 3 rehearsals, so full test migrations to check whether everything is going well, including testing with the key users, including a final user acceptance test, and then also the productive migration. Quite successful project, very interesting, especially due to a 7 months time frame, which is for this amount of data and the amount of different systems quite a challenge, but possible if you have a good basis on the technology side and on the knowledge side how to execute these kind of projects. 3DEX data import best practices. So first of all, have a good contact at the SO. So either through your partner, your technology partner that is doing the project with you, or if you're trying it on your own, through your SO key account manager. Why is that so important? Because you want to inform the SO about what kind of objects you're going to migrate into 3DEXPERIENCE and which APIs you want to use in order to achieve this. This is important because each API has its own feature set. As you remember, there is a bunch of different APIs that you could use: XPDM, REST, Java, and MQL as well. And you want to make sure that for the data types that you're trying to import, that you're utilizing the right API in order to get the job done. And it's sometimes the case that the SO then tells you that a certain feature set is, for example, not really supported, that you need to use a different API, or that a certain API needs to be enhanced by the SO in order to get, for example, change information in, or certain aspects of change information into the system. So that's something that can happen. And as early as possible, as you can do that in the project, chance is that you are not running into a blocker, into a technology blocker, because there is no API currently available, or the API needs to be first created by the SO. So make sure that the SO is aware of what you're doing, and this is very helpful inside the project when you have a technology partner who has a good contact to the SO on that. So utilizing the right API is important, making sure that the SO is aware of that. What you shouldn't do is you should not try to import any kind of data directly into the SQL database. That's a no-go, because that will not be supported by the SO. Of course, you can leverage a combination of the APIs. So for example, with XPDM, importing CAD files, but then leveraging REST or Java to enhance different aspects of the CAD files. For example, adding change information, adding additional attributes, executing certain operations on the already imported data and things like that. Sometimes there is no API for your specific use case. In that case, you could use MQL, but so MQL is a language, a low-level language where you can basically directly modify the database. You could do that, but make sure that the SO is okay with that, right? That you're going that way, and that there is no other way on the REST or Java side in order to get the job done. Then you can use MQL, of course. So the benefit of using REST Java or potentially MQL is that you're creating the data as a user would do that. That means all the data model validations that you have created are being leveraged during the import. That's a quite good thing. That's also the case for XPDM in certain aspects, but going through REST Java is, first of all, a good thing when you want to have clean data. So on the right-hand side for CAD import, you really need to understand what kind of use case you want to do. Either, for example, if you want to import SolidWorks and you want to natively continue with that, then you're using Power BI. But if you want to change the SolidWorks format during the import into V6, so doing a CAD translation via the SO connector, that's an important thing to know, because the feature set of the first one and the second one is different. And this is a completely different use case for the import. So make sure that you know what you want to achieve. Furthermore, when using XPDM, its XML layout is very complicated to understand. So make sure, again, that you have a good contact at the SO. If you're facing issues with the XPDM interface, that you can ask questions about it, or have a good partner who already knows that information. Depending on what kind of use case for CAD import you're picking, you sometimes need to also create viewables outside the 3DEXPERIENCE platform in order to provide those then to 3DEXPERIENCE. So for example, if you're using Power BI in the end, so you want to continue using SolidWorks, then you need to create the CGRs for the viewables outside of the platform so that you can provide the CGRs as well to 3DEXPERIENCE. So prepare for that. That means you need additional operations during the migration pipeline. Last but not least, there is no 100% success ratio. You can get a very high number of success, or a very high percentage of success, when you previously do quality checks on the data, that there are no broken links, that you are manually doing CAD updates and things like that before importing the data. So always make sure that you have at least a few people who know what you're importing, so that you can make these quality checks beforehand. In the last 4 sessions of Data Migration Demystified, I provided quite an extensive amount of information and best practices regarding migration projects. It was a very compressed webinar. It's only 15 minutes per session, so there is not much space for anything else. But still, if you would like to get in touch with us and get more information, maybe more detailed information, or if you're looking for help in your project, just get in touch with us. PROSTEP is there for you. So last but not least, thank you for attending this webinar series. Here you can find all the contact details, either contacting me or the company. And yeah, I hope the information was quite helpful to you. See you at any webinar soon. Bye-bye.